Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott. The program in which you're about to listen to is called Can We Talk? We come to you on a weekly basis. I'm here with Charles Scott Jr.
How you guys doing? Like my father said, we are here weekly. You can look online, look at our past episodes. We've got about 60 episodes now. And you can take the adventure with us. We started out with this about a year and a half ago. Interest rates were half of what they were. It was a different market. There were no wars going on, but we're in a different world now. But guess what? We're here to navigate it and give you advice.
Our purpose is to give you advice on your financial matters, and also we are brokers in real estate. The both of us are brokers. I've been a broker now going on 38 years.
Yes.
My son's been out there for
About 15 years now.
15 years. So you've got a combined total of 50 years experience.
Yeah, how about that? Where else are you going to get that, right?
if you average it out. So I've been out there for a while. I've seen the ups and I've seen the downs. I've probably seen what we're going through now as far as interest rates going up and coming down. I think this is my fourth turnaround where prices go up and prices come down. But you know what? It's with real estate, it's like walking up steps. You go up and you come down, you go up. But as long as you go up higher than when you come down, in the long run, you always make out, because what's happening is that the trajectory is that you go higher and higher and higher until and when you think you reach the top, then what happens is something happens. Maybe they have what they call a correction. A correction.
Exactly. I was going to say it's called a correction. What you're talking about is called a cycle, a real estate cycle. Whether you go up or down, you see overall as time continues, you end up still higher than you were, I'll say, 10, 20 years ago. So although you may say, well, now's the time to buy or maybe not buy, in the end, I would say 10 years from now, 15 years, you're still going to be up from where you were.
Today I wanted to talk a little bit about different types of buyers.
Yes.
In other words, there's different types of buyers in the market. I sort of preface what I just started out by saying is that there's ups and downs. There's some buyers that make out no matter how it works, whether it's up or down. In the stock market, you might call it shorting, where people bet that things are going to go down, and they make money when things go down.
Yep.
And some people bet things are going to go up, and they make money when things go up. Some people get in the middle, and they bet some things will go down, and they bet some things will go up, and they still make money.
Yes.
So in real estate, it's basically what type of buyer are you? And there's different types of buyers. You have some buyers out here that basically go out and get a 30-year mortgage. And then there's different types of mortgages,
I would
right?
say some people take that seriously. They say, I'm going to get this 30-year mortgage. I'm going to live in this house for 30 years. But if people look at the averages in the data, the average person lives in a house for 7 years, maybe 8 years. Remember, when you get that mortgage, it's not going to be your last house unless you want it to be.
Now, there's different types of buyers, such as the one that goes out and the traditional one goes out and applies for a mortgage with a mortgage broker or a bank. And some people say, well, what's better, the mortgage broker or the bank? Basically, both of them are good. It depends on you, basically, your qualifications. Now, I'm not saying that one is more lenient than the other. It's just that, in some cases, a mortgage company has more, let's say, leeway in getting the mortgage, but then at the same token, maybe the interest rate might be a little higher.
Exactly.
Or they can give you a plan where the interest rates is real low. The difference, I think, is accessibility. If you're dealing with a mortgage person and a mortgage company, remember, they don't go home at 5 o'clock when the bank closes.
Yeah, I will say that, to add more into that. Remember, when you have a mortgage broker, they can kind of shop it around. Let's say we come to some monkey wrenches, we come to a pitfall, and we say, wow, we're not going to get financed by this particular bank. That mortgage broker already has all your information. Let's try this lender over here. Maybe they'll have something that we can put in, and then we can get the deal financed still.
And a mortgage broker, what they do is that not only do they shop it around, they hold your hand, because the mortgage broker, you might have the cell phone of the mortgage broker and call them at 9 o'clock at night. And I know the mortgage company or the mortgage brokers out there are saying, Charles, what'd you tell them that for? But it's true, a mortgage broker is a little bit more hungry than the person in the bank getting the salary.
Well, the bank also, remember, the bank's going to have someone on a salary. They can't talk to you on their personal phone. It has to be a recorded line. Also, a lot of things have to be done through correspondence and emails, so the bank can read what's going on. Also, remember, when it comes to a mortgage broker, like my father said, they can shop it around. With the bank, if they come across something they can't finance you, you have to start from scratch with a new bank or find yourself a mortgage broker.
Now, what I'm talking about right now is the traditional person that goes into, that's the other thing too. When I say goes into a bank and fills out an application, rarely do they do that anymore.
No.
Everything now is done online.
They'll send you a link. Fill it out when you get home.
I have a client that called me over the weekend and said, "Oh, Mr. Scott, I contacted the mortgage company and I have to fill everything out online, and I need to get some help from my sister because she's the one that knows how to work the computers, because they want you to upload everything. They want you to scan it and send it to them. In some cases, you have the national companies, Quicken Loan, Rocket Mortgage, or what. You may be dealing with someone in California who's taking your mortgage application. So it's not like the old days. You can't walk it down to the local office or drive up and park and drop off the paperwork.
They're going to want you to upload it. And they may say, well, we don't want you to take pictures with your phone. We want you to give us real PDFs. We want you to scan this. This is sensitive documents. And you may realize, wow, I don't have all this equipment in my house. I have to go to Staples or my local library and start scanning stuff.
I can compare it to what happened with COVID. With COVID, all of the schools went virtual.
Yep.
What happened to all of the kids out there that didn't have laptops at home or internet at home?
Exactly.
So, remember they provided a lot of laptops and free internet for those individuals. And what I tell people right now is if you don't have a laptop at home, or if you can't, go to your local library.
Yep, that's correct.
Libraries used to have millions of books. Now you walk into a library and you say,
what books?
Where are the books? What's going on,
Everything's digital.
When I went into a library, you go down rows and rows of books. You couldn't even see over the row and know who's on the other side. Somebody else is over there and you're on one side. It was like a valley of books. Now you go into the average library and all you have is computer screens.
A bunch of computer screens or workshops how people learn computer skills. I mean, at least they're adapting to the times, and as you should also.
So if you have to do an application for a mortgage, go to your regular library, and you have, most people, you still have the library card. They'll give you an hour or 2 hours on the computer, and you stick your card in there. Now that computer is yours, and you can get the email, send stuff, and have them send stuff to you, and you can come into the library and print it out.
And the one thing I was going to tell people, please bring a thumb drive with you, bring some type of disk, because remember, you don't want to leave those files on that computer. It's a public computer. Someone can go right behind you. It's going to be their mortgage after that.
And just to sort of accentuate that, a thumb drive. Tell them what a thumb drive is. Some people don't know what a thumb drive is.
People watching our show know what a thumb drive. If you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, you know the thumb drive. Now, those watching on regular TV may not know. That's a memory card. It's like a floppy disk for now. A thumb drive, you put in your keychain, come in 64 gigabytes, 128 gigabytes. I recommend a 128 gigabyte one that'll last you a while.
So therefore, you have a record of everything, and you can go into different libraries and still put in the same thumb drive and access the same material.
Exactly.
So we just talked about the traditional buyer, but now you have other types of buyers too. You maybe have a person that's going to use, let's say, hard money. Hard money, what that is where you're dealing with the investors. Investors, they are not fazed by interest rates.
Nope.
Interest rates is the last thing that they think about because they're thinking about the bottom line. If it's going to cost me 10% interest rate and I'm going to buy this house and it's a rehab and I'm going to turn around and buy it for $200,000 and I'm going to put $100,000 into it and I'm going to sell it for $400,000, then I'm going to make $100,000. And the interest rate doesn't really make that much of a difference because they're not going to be keeping their mortgage for 30 years.
Yeah, usually it's 1 year, sometimes it's 2 years. They have penalties if they don't meet certain guidelines, but they're not looking at a 30-year mortgage. It's totally different.
Right. 1 year interest rate, when they pay out their expense or whatever the interest rate is on that 1 year, it's immaterial to them. And in a lot of cases, they may not even be paying principal and interest, just interest on the money.
Exactly.
Just interest on that money for 1 year. And there's advantages and disadvantages of that. Number one, you have to put more down payment
Yes.
if you're going to be doing that. So there's more money required down. Usually it's a 25% down.
Just about.
Now, if you, and the other advantage is that you do not provide as much paperwork. If you're putting in a lot of money down and you're buying the house, and you are going to, and it's not for owner occupied, that's an investor, someone that's
Yes.
going to buy the house, and maybe they're going to later on rent it out and refinance it, or either they're going to sell it
Correct.
for profit. So therefore, they do not have to provide all the paperwork. And in many cases, they're looking at basically a credit score and the amount of money you're putting down.
And also going to ask you about your track record. Have you done this before? Have you bought houses in the past? Have you sold them for a profit? Because once you develop a relationship with that hard money lender, it may be easier to get more loans going forward.
So when you're going forward, just the mere fact that you call them up and say, hey, this is John, I paid off the other 2 loans or the 3 loans, and they say, oh yeah, we have your file right here. What are you looking to do? And you might say, oh, there's a house over on 83 Broad Street. It's a 3-family house. And they're going to ask you, what are the numbers? What's it selling for? In other words, what's the resale value of that property?
Exactly.
And how much do you need? In some cases, you can borrow not only the money to buy it, but fix it up all at the same time.
Now, those are the pros. Now, what are the cons of having a hard money loan? I will say, remember, you have a short amount of time to do all this. You have to fix the house up. You got to deal with material costs rising, labor costs. You got to hope there's no other things you find as you go through the house. Remember, what you'll see is people that use hard money often skip the inspection because they know they're going to encounter items and they want their deal to be accepted. So when it comes to that, you want to make sure you know what you're doing, because remember, if it goes past that year, that payment's going to, I'll say, sometimes triple, double. There's going to be a balloon payment due.
I was just thinking about it. We keep saying hard, hard, hard. Really, it's not hard. It's easy. To get the loan is a lot easier. So it's a sort of misnomer when you say hard money, because the money is easy to get as long as you have, the secret is for you to have saved up some money to put down.
Exactly.
The more money you're able to put down, the easier it is to get those types of loans, because they look past some of the other things, such as being on the job and your tax returns and all of the documentation that you need. And it's mostly for someone who's looking to buy an investment property. So there's those type of buyers. Now those type of buyers, they're smart enough to know the market goes up and the market goes down.
Correct.
Their main concern is how much higher will it go up. So they don't just, when the market goes high, say, okay, I'm out of here. Some do, but the majority of them will still be, they analyze the deal. If the deal is still going to be good for them, and if they can figure out where the rents are still going to go up, and there's still the possibility for them to make money, and maybe it's a property that someone started but they did not finish. So maybe it's got a new roof, maybe it's got some new electrical, but the person that started that just got foreclosed on, or they were not able to complete it, so they can come in and pick up, and finish it and still make a profit.
Now, I'm going to mention the third type of buyer. People see this online all the time. I'm going to tell people to warn against it. But rent to own, you're going to see that a lot. People say rent to own buyers. What about that? Type it on Google.
That's true.
Type it on YouTube. I will say rent to own is not a myth. It is possible, but there's something we don't normally see here in Connecticut. You see it mostly in the Midwest, where there's a lot of houses where people aren't sought after, as far as it might be in the middle of nowhere. The way rent to own is, you live in a house, you have a landlord you're paying rent to, you make an agreement with him. You may not include agents where you say, I'll pay you an extra $500 per month on top of my rent. You're supposed to take that $500 and put it to the side for my down payment. Now, what I'm agreeing with the landlord is maybe a year from now, maybe it's 2 years, that when the time comes, I'm going to apply for a mortgage and I'm going to be able to buy your house. And that money you've been saving from me, that'll be my down payment. But people forget things change. What if the interest rate is triple, like for example, from 2020 to 2023? Well, if the interest rate raises so high, you can't afford the house. That landlord gets to keep all that money and all the repairs you did to the house. So I would say when it comes to rent to own, you're better off saving that money in your bank account and doing a traditional mortgage when you're ready versus risking to lose that money with the landlord.
Not only that, let's say it's today, your credit score is 750.
Yep.
Your job is secure, everything is good. So now you go into meet with your landlord and you're going to be a rent to own. So you're saying, okay, a year from now I am buying your house, and if I don't buy your house, you get to keep the extra money I gave you.
How about that?
So now also make sure that the landlord, the advantage is you have a set price. So he's saying, I'll sell you my house for $250,000. Now, if it goes up to 300, 350, he still has to sell it to you for
Exactly.
250,000. So that's in your benefit. But now let's say it's a year later, you were working a lot of overtime. Now the economy's down. Now you're maybe working 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Maybe you had a little trouble and you missed one bill. Now your credit score dropped from 750 maybe to 620 or 610. Now you go into the bank a year later and say, okay, I'm buying my landlord's house and I want to be able to get a mortgage. And they say, you don't qualify for a mortgage.
How about that?
Now you've said to the seller, if I cannot buy your house, you get to keep the money that I paid extra. So now you not only cannot buy the house, you just lost all the money that you put aside to buy the house. Because the landlord is saying, I'm at a disadvantage because I could have sold the house, but I relied on you promising me that you were going to buy my house.
Yep.
Now that I can't sell it to you, I lost money. So to compensate me for my losses, I got to keep your deposit.
Got to recoup his damages. He could have sold it in 2021, it's 2023, and now the interest rate's 8 and you can't afford the house. Or your credit score went down.
So rent to own sounds nice and easy.
Sounds good.
I just give you some money, and then it'll be easier for me to buy the house, and then I'll be able to go to the mortgage company. But it's a lot of different variables there, and you could lose money. So you can't, like my son said. Usually rent to own is in an area where sellers cannot sell their houses.
Exactly, because why would someone honestly, for example, here in Fairfield County, wait 2 years to sell a house when they can sell it now to the bustling New Yorkers that are still coming in every day? So that's another thing. You have to look at the environment, the area that you're buying in also.
The other type of properties, there's all sorts of, like I said, there's all sorts of buyers out here. We have the traditional buyer, we got the hard money buyer, we got the rent to own buyer.
My favorite buyers?
Which one?
The ones that team up. What about people, for
Oh,
example,
there you go.
a son, a mother, a daughter, they team up their income and they say, I want to buy a multifamily, versus each one of them trying to get approved to buy their own single family. Why not come together to buy a multifamily? You can combine your incomes and take advantage of that equity that's going to build over the next couple of years.
There's also another type of buyer too, where they do the exchange. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
As far as what you
The
mean?
1031 exchange, where you have a house, you sell that house.
Well, that's more like an investor. That's someone who
Well,
sold the
there's
house.
investors, right?
They made a lot of money, but guess what? They're not ready to pay taxes on that quite yet. So what they'll do is they'll buy another property with the profits from that first house. And if they do that within a certain amount of time, Uncle Sam will say, okay, you put that money into another investment, we're not going to charge you the taxes, full capital gains. You'll wait a couple years, and then at that point, you'll pay a reduced amount.
Right. So there's all sorts of different buyers that are out there. My main point, though, is that when the economy goes up and down, whatever situation you may have may not even apply to other people out there and their situation. And you might, the people on TV might say, well, the houses are still selling, but the whole thing is, to who are they selling? Maybe there's as one segment disappears, another segment appears.
Very true, because there's always going to be a market for someone out here, whether the interest rate is 8% or 18% like it was in the 80s. There's going to be someone that's in need of shelter.
And another factor, the wild card factor in all of this is rents.
Yes.
Because if the interest rates go up and the rents go way up, then the buyers of property are still going to buy because they don't have an escape route.
Exactly.
It's not like they can run back and say, okay, I'm not going to buy right now. I'm just going to keep paying $800 a month rent, because there's no $800 a month rent.
Nope, that's gone.
And the $800 a month rent is now $1,500 a month.
Yes.
Or $1,800 a month. So that person, if they're able to buy, they're saying, why am I still paying all this rent when I can buy?
Exactly. They're saying, why rent when I can go out and get a mortgage and it may be just the same amount of money, but at least I'm building equity. In the future, I know I can pull from the equity, unlike when you pay rent. I'll say this, some people worry about the interest rate, 8%, 10%, 5%. But when you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest. None of that money is building any equity in your savings.
That's 100%, right?
100% interest rate. It's going right to the landlord's
None
pockets.
of it comes back to you.
You're getting none of that. No kickbacks on that.
None of
at all.
it. None of it comes back. You know,
Yes.
I had a lady I was talking to today, and she'd been paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Well, all the money I've been paying my landlord." She says, "Don't I get any of that back?"
Oh,
I
wow.
said, "Well, you don't get the money back that you paid him." I said, "You know, he paid expenses, he paid insurance, he paid taxes." I said, and depending upon how you leave the apartment, you might get your security deposit back, you know, depending upon what's in your lease."
Exactly.
So I said, it's not a matter of, you know, like you're getting, you do get some interest on your money as long as you paid your rent on time.
Yep.
So you got to realize that there's all sorts of things that incur. And the reason why the rent has increased is because the landlord's expenses have increased. Water bills have gone up. Sewer bills went up.
And also, if there's people that are renting right now, they wanted to buy a house last year. How about those people that wanted to buy back 22 years ago when the interest rate was 5%? They said they're going to wait till it goes down. Now we're at 8%. So now they're still renting after these 2 years. I have some people in mind. They call them every day. I'm like, you should have bought it 2021, 2020, 5%. But now we're at 8%. And I would say it's still a good time to buy.
Still a good time.
Because you're going to be calling me next year when it's 10%, God forbid.
So it's still a good time. Like I said, everybody, it depends on your situation.
Yes.
Your situation is not everyone else's situation out there. And people are always going to be buying. It's just a matter of people figuring out what, you know, where is their situation going to be.
Exactly.
If I'm buying the property, if you're buying a property, let's say a 2-family or a 3-family house, remember, because the house costs more, you can now charge more for the rents too. So the rents can help you pay for that particular house. But I always tell everybody, more than anything, save money. The people in the future that are going to be the winners are going to be those people that don't go out and stop everything and try to rely on grant programs or first-time home buyer program. Remember, if you do what everybody else does, and want what everybody else wants, it's going to be harder for you.
Exactly.
Pull yourself apart from the average person. Pull yourself apart from the norm and become creative. Creative on your part. Well, I'm going to save more money. I'm going to put more money down. I'm going to build my credit score. I'm going to figure out who I can get to buy this house with me. I got a cousin, I got a nephew, I got a mother or sister. I'm going to pool my resources. You have to start becoming creative and saying, what is it that I have to do? And also, if you're not ready right now, walk into the bank anyway and say, okay, what do I have to do to get a mortgage? Find out what the rules of the game are. They may say, you need this, you need that, you need this, and you need to do this. So you gear yourself towards doing those things.
And it might be good just to go there just to see if they find anything. For example, you may go just, you're not ready to buy a house, but let's see if you qualify for a mortgage at all. And they may find something on your credit that it's not even belong to you. It could be a bill from 10 years ago when it's underneath your name, but if you look at your annual credit report, which you should get every year, you may find some errors. And the fact that you went in early to find this error, you can clean it up, and maybe next year you'll be in a position to buy a house.
Even if you're not ready, get prepared. The whole thing is preparation.
Yes.
People say, oh, he bought a house. He was lucky. Everybody's got to be lucky. You know what luck is? Luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
You prepare for the luck, and then when the luck walks down the street, you say, oh, I got the opportunity to do this.
Exactly.
If you don't do that, luck will pass you and walk past you, and you will look at it like somebody, a stranger.
Like, who are you?
And have lucky written all over his forehead. But you got to be prepared. You have to be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity that's presented to you, because every day opportunities are presented to us. Every day we drive down the street, we look and we see different things, and there's different businesses and different places that we can think of and what you fill your mind with.
And I was going to say, there's one unique opportunity right now my Connecticut customers have right now is the Time to Own program. Right now, we've gotten some customers through it. It's money that can be forgiven off your mortgage, and it helps with your down payment, helps with your closing costs. Give us a call. We'll explain that to you. And right now, I believe last time I checked, they do have some funds left in it.
There's millions still left in there.
Yes.
That's millions of dollars for Connecticut
That's
residents.
opportunity for Connecticut.
There you go, to help you buy your house. Go towards your down payment and your closing
And
costs.
closing costs.
So there are programs that are out there, but again, just because there's a program doesn't mean you qualify for the program.
Exactly.
You may find out what the requirements are. Maybe, there's a credit that you have to have, and also you have to have a situation where your income is sufficient to be able to pay the money back. So if you only make so much, you might say, well, hey, I can join up with my sister and we can get this time
Exactly.
home. It doesn't have to be just one person. So the two of you, once you get the money, then you can buy the house. Be creative. Right now, you and your sister have two separate apartments. You join together, you get the extra money to be able to buy the house. Now, you don't have to live together forever. Down the road now, you turn around and you sell the house. She gets a profit, you get a profit, then you two have money. Maybe you get 30, 40,000 a piece in profit. Now she goes and on her way and buys her house. You go on your way and you buy your house.
Well, there's many ways you can do it. You could also refinance the house, the apartment building you bought
There
with
you
your
go.
sister, and keep that in their portfolio, start collecting the rent from there, and move into your own single-family houses, and then keep building on and on from there.
Main thing we're doing right now is we're opening up the possibilities so that you can think about what you can do. Get out of the regular cookie cutter thinking mentality where I got to buy a house and I got to stay there and then what do I do and I'm nervous. Hey, join up, get together. You're spending the money anyway. The dollars are going out of your pocket no matter what. If the dollars are going out of your pocket, why not redirect some dollars back into your pocket?
Exactly.
As an investment and as a savings.
And what I would say, as we're approaching the new year, be careful because right around, let's say after Christmas, there's a certain time where all these car dealerships, all these furniture stores,
stay away from those
they
new
start
cars.
saying, oh, people are getting their tax returns. You can save that tax return and that could be a part of your down payment down the line and you could get a house. Why get a house? You're going to get a car, it's a liability. You get some furniture, it's a liability. It's going to deteriorate, but a house is going to build equity over time.
So that's going to be another program where we're going to tell you the cash flow that you got coming in, how to leverage it and become more creative in the future.
Exactly.
So hopefully we've been a informational center for you today. Call us. You see the number there. We could sit down on a one-on-one. You don't have to tell other people your business, and we keep it confidential. So
Yeah, give us a call, go online. I'll say we're on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and send us a message, and we'll go from there.
until next week, God bless.
Amen.